Music has the power to connect, heal, and comfort. Whether it's through song lyrics or musical therapy, there is so much to be said about the strength of song. Here at Stitch, we celebrate the ways everyday people are making this country a kinder place to live, one incredible story at a time. In our first story, a community leader is using her expertise to give young people a much-needed emotional outlet. The owner of this small recording studio has big dreams.
I'm trying to reach out to my community, work for my community hands-on. You can hear in their music, they're crying out for help.
Miss Keepa wants to give young people an opportunity to express themselves by encouraging young musicians to record their own music. A 10-year-old boy's track had a profound impact on Miss Keepa.
He talked about his hurt, his pain, and he talked about his little brother that passed away. So he's 10 and his little brother passed away. You can imagine how I felt hearing that come in that microphone. I felt his pain.
As an artist herself, Miss Keepa doesn't charge much for studio time or her advice on how to get exposure on social media.
It's not about the money. It's about time and having that time to talk to them and communicate with them about what's wrong.
Miss Keepa recognizes the studio time and ability to be open about their emotions feels like therapy for the young men and women she mentors, just as much as it does for her.
I see changes. I see commitment. They come back and they commit their time here instead of going out doing senseless acts.
Next up, this family business encourages fun and safe activities for everyone, including dance classes.
Good job, Amali.
The music is pumping, the beat is contagious, and there is barely a spot left in this dance class at the Dreamplex.
I like to dance and stuff like that. I like to do exercise, stuff like that.
For members like Adrian, it's been a dream come true to have a place to dance and enjoy music with his friends.
We do work out with the kids, I help out with the kids, and help out everybody.
As the owner of a home-based therapy company, Amy realized there was a greater need for many of her clients with disabilities, including her own daughter, Abby.
As the kids got older and older, we saw as therapists that they weren't staying active. They didn't have peer interaction, they just didn't have jobs, and so we thought we gotta do something about that.
She and her son Cameron opened Dreamplex in 2015 and run programs to help all kinds of families.
We serve all ages and all types of disabilities. We don't really want to focus on the disability. We want to focus on, okay, what can we change of these activities so that everyone's able to participate?
Like Ethan and his little sister.
Everybody needs to enjoy this company. My mom, my sister, and all the kids in the class.
I'm very proud of how everybody's come together to make it happen.
In this next story, an educator returned to his hometown to help drum up some positivity.
It requires you to be able to work with others in a positive way.
When music teacher Greg was asked to help with a summer camp in his hometown, he showed up with old, dirty tires. Understandably, there was some hesitation from the kids.
We're gonna do what? That's gonna be a drum? I said, just go with the flow.
The campers spent time cleaning and decorating their tires. The idea was to get them invested, and it worked.
I was impressed because it turned out to be like a really nice creation.
I want you guys doing rhythm 2.
Greg, a classically trained musician and a published author, teaches at a private school. But he felt compelled to come back home to work with kids he relates to.
With kids that look like me, sound like me, and will go through similar things. I struggled with that identity. Who am I? Where do I fit in? So my thing is to help these kids feel comfortable in their skin, who they are.
Within a day, he had them playing in a way that didn't just sound like a bunch of noise, but they were in unison. So it was really exciting.
Sharon taught Greg when he was a student and says he came back at an important time.
We were significantly impacted by COVID. And then after the George Floyd murder and the protests, and there were protests in Brockton, we wanted to make sure that our students had some place that they could go that was a positive outlet.
There's times where I get mad, and there's times where I just want to bang a drum because it lets you cool down. You start to have fun with it too, and you start getting rhythm.
The students couldn't be happier to see the program grow and continue.
I definitely want to drum more.
Especially in this time with they're on these computers so much and they're sitting still. Sometimes you just gotta let it out.
Along with traditional treatments, this hospital is using musical therapy to help COVID-19 patients gain their strength and lift their spirits.
When peace like a
Once they realize that we're not trying to train them into the next Johnny Cash, we're just focused on their breathing, we can really try and help them out, try and get them moving a little bit better.
Wesley, a music therapy specialist, says therapists are always ready with a song for COVID-19 patients who are awake and off their ventilators.
If they are just feeling pretty sad or lonely, we might try and get them to focus on a project like writing a song for their loved ones while they're in here.
While the therapist would typically use instruments, there's a risk of contamination. So instead, they improvise.
For COVID patients, we're usually just ourselves and our voice. We're not using instruments, but we might use body percussion, get them tapping on their knees, get them clapping to the rhythm.
Wesley says they've been able to help many patients turn musicians on their way to recovery.
We're just one of the disciplines trying to help them through that.
This next musician hopes to use her music to connect with those who have been through difficult times, like the pandemic.
A tiny spark in a machine.
Ellen experienced an incredible trauma nearly a decade ago.
I was driving home from a gig and I got hit by a criminally intoxicated driver. And it was an incredibly violent car wreck. The car flipped 3 times and crashed into the ground each of those times.
It took years for her to recover physically, but even longer to be able to speak about the crash. But Ellen has found her voice again.
See the world before it disappears.
On what she calls her Crashiversary, she launched a virtual concert with 8 songs celebrating her life reborn. Ellen hopes her story of triumph through trauma and her music help others heal, especially survivors of COVID-19.
COVID is a global traumatic experience. Nobody is untouched by it. And I think that one of the things that I've learned in the last year is that openly talking about the way that we respond to grief and loss and trauma is better than just trying to pretend that things didn't happen.
Breaking glass and a ticking clock.
To also know that they have me as a person out there, even if we don't know each other personally, just like the way that I'm connected to those people who created my car.
The songs are an ode to her trusted Honda Fit that endured the wreck and the people that made the car.
What I think is miraculous is that my life was saved by human beings, by human endeavor. People came together, they did their jobs. They did them so effectively that in the moment that I needed it the most, the car responded perfectly.
We hope these stories of the power of music uplifted you. How has music been helpful in your life? Let us know in the comments below. From all of us at Stitch, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more stories like these.